and then made her way out in the parking lot, realized she was shot, and then went into Carl's Jr. and asked help. So 4 victims that we know of, 5 victims actually, 1 fatal, 4 people taken to San Francisco General Hospital, 1 critical, 1 serious, the other 2 non-life-threatening injuries. And right now, we're still waiting for the rest of this to kind of be sewn up for us, Shep, but it does not appear to be terrorism. It appears to be domestic violence, and this situation apparently at YouTube for the time being appears to be very well contained.
And noted, Trace, that these very specific stories of multiple shots and someone being killed before their eyes, notably, not one word on any of that, and no word on anyone deceased except the shooter herself, which is quite an extraordinary thing to try to put together.
2 extraordinary things. 1, that it's a female shooter, and 2, that there were not more fatalities, and which is not to discredit any of the witnesses who say that there was somebody opening fire. We don't know if this person went in and started opening fire looking for the intended target. That may very well have been the case. What we do know is the final scenario was the shooter and apparently the intended target in a room together, both with gunshot wounds. Other people certainly were shot in the process. And again, when we talk about 4 victims, there was some word that, well, 4 people were shot. We don't know that. The police never said 4 people were shot. There were 4 victims taken to hospitals, people taken to Stanford Hospital. We don't know if they suffered gunshot wounds. Oftentimes in these cases, they suffer trampling wounds from people trying to get out of the building. And oftentimes they fall and hurt themselves. So it's not always gunshot wounds. So we're trying to keep the facts contained where we know they are, and that is 4 victims. We know that 2 of them have gunshot wounds because 1's critical and 1's serious, and we know that 2 people in some capacity were wounded. We just don't know exactly how that happened. Shep.
Trace Gallagher, thank you. Live report, KTVU, Fox 2 in San Francisco. Let's listen.
This person inflicted that wound on their body. The 4 people being treated right now, as we heard from Paul Chambers at the hospital, the injuries survivable. That's what we know right now. They don't have much information beyond that to say that right now they're in the phase of questioning about 100 people from this building. Most of the employees that were in that building have left on their own for the day. They have a separate staging area that they hadn't told us about yet, where they're holding the people who are there questioning as they proceed with this investigation right now. Ken, that is what we know. The chief says he will have another press conference sometime later tonight. Perhaps we will glean some new information about what happened inside of that building earlier today as far as how the officials are handling it and what they're looking for in their investigation. Of course, a motivation as to what drove this woman to come in here and start shooting and injuring 4 people here. So hopefully we'll get some update that'll give us some insight into what happened here in this very tragic situation that unfolded inside the YouTube headquarters here in San Bruno. Ken and Heather?
Yeah, Andre, I want to go back because you mentioned that the chief would not really discuss anything about the weapon used, but we did hear in police audio as the dispatch was going out to law enforcement and they were responding. They did indicate that a gun had been recovered, but again, the police chief would not elaborate on what type of gun was used.
He would not elaborate on that. In fact, when he was asked about what type of weapon was used, he said he just didn't have that information. So it's just quite possible. There are several agencies here, Heather, involved. Just to let you know, there's CHP, the San Mateo Sheriff's Office, including the San Bruno Police Department. Now, I'd heard that the San Mateo Sheriff's Office was leading the investigation, but obviously that might have changed since the earlier part of this incident started to unfold. We got out here very quickly, so things were still chaotic at the time, but the San Bruno police chief gave that update, and he would not say what type of weapon was used in this case. And the way he said it after that was he just simply didn't know. So it's possible that he has not yet gotten an update from other investigators who are here on the scene trying to figure out what went wrong here.
Yeah, we know that ATF is also on the scene, and so when you got ATF involved, you have the gun experts, so they'll be able to find out everything there is to know about that gun and how this woman came to be in possession of it. You were talking about the 100 people that the sheriff or the chief wanted to get more information from. Would these be people that were in whatever that event was that was earlier today?
He leaned on that comment he made earlier that just that he didn't know. He just know that they would identify these 100 people who could provide some additional information as part of their ongoing investigation, but he didn't know what role they played.
Lots of people to be interviewed. Heather Holmes and Ken Wayne on the anchor desk at KTVU in San Francisco. Our coverage continues of this breaking news in San Mateo County right after this.
homeowner's claim last year, so Allstate's giving us money back on our bill.
Seems fair. Didn't use it.
Wish we got money back on gym memberships.
Get money back
Hilarious.
with claim-free rewards. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Hi, I'm Bob Harper, and I recently had a heart attack. It changed my life, but I'm a survivor. After my heart attack, my doctor prescribed Brilinta. It's for people who have been hospitalized for a heart attack.
Brilinta is taken with a low-dose aspirin, no more than 100 milligrams, as it affects how well Brilinta works. Brilinta helps keep platelets from sticking together and forming a clot. In a clinical study, Brilinta worked better than Plavix.
Brilinta reduced the chance of having another heart attack or dying from one.
Don't stop taking Brilinta without talking to your doctor, since stopping it too soon increases your risk of clots in your stent, heart attack, stroke, and even death. Brilinta may cause bruising or bleeding more easily, or serious, sometimes fatal bleeding. Don't take Brilinta if you have bleeding, like stomach ulcers, a history of bleeding in the brain, or severe liver problems. Slow heart rhythm has been reported. Tell your doctor about bleeding, new or unexpected shortness of breath, any planned surgery, and all medicines you take.
If you recently had a heart attack, ask your doctor if Brilinta is right for you. My heart is worth Brilinta.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Attention men with frequent urges to urinate. Super Beta Prostate has ingredients.
I'm Brian Gary, and today we're talking about the biggest
I shouldn't need to replace my windows. They're just not that old. But here's the thing. Home builders put in high-end kitchens and bathrooms, and low-end windows just aren't that good. So even if your windows are only 7 to 10 years old, they may still need to be replaced.
Ted, there's so many window companies out there. What's different about your company?
Well, besides being the full-service replacement window division